Coming up on Mountain News this morning, a controversial method for water treatment seems to no longer have a future in one southern Kentucky city after some public outcry. And Kentucky doctors see a spike in strep throat cases as the numbers reach their highest point in 6 years.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is now 6 o'clock on April 26th. Now let's check in with Brandon Robinson for a look at that forecast this morning. Brandon, it's a great chilly morning, perfect to grab a warm cup of coffee, get your day started off right.
Exactly. It's a good day just to kind of be up and moving because there's not as much frost this morning as there has been the last couple of days. I did notice on my windshield this morning, I live in one of the sheltered valleys that we talk about all the time. It gets a little bit colder, just a little bit of moisture, not quite frozen just yet, but you may see some patchy frost out there this morning. Give yourself time to get those cars warmed up. Let's go over to Jenkins, not too far from where I live on US 119, US 23. Some light traffic up there heading into Southwest Virginia this morning, but otherwise not too bad. Temperatures 31 in Clintwood to 44 in Jackson. A lot of mid to upper 30s, low to mid 40s out there this morning. Looks like 43 Pikeville, 42 Monticello's the next closest spot's, also 43 in Wise. And looks like to Clintwood you see Prestonsburg just jumped to 41. 32 there in Grundy, 33 Manchester, and 34 in Jonesville. I was double checking there, make sure I didn't miss anybody. What is today's forecast? In Jeopardy style for 400, we say what is partly to mostly cloudy skies. 70 degrees out there. It's going to be a fairly nice day. Get out there and enjoy it. Olivia?
All right, thank you, Brandon. A controversial wastewater treatment method will no longer take place at a southern Kentucky city. The process of treating leachate, which is a liquid collected at landfills after it runs over solid waste, will no longer happen in Somerset. The action comes after a crowded and at times intense and emotional city council meeting. WYMT's Phil Pendleton talked with those for and against the treatment plan and has more on the debate.
Logs and other debris typically gather on Lake Cumberland this time of the year, but the issue that brought so many out to the City Council Monday is over an invisible substance people say is hazardous and doesn't need to be treated in Somerset so close to the lake.
To bring it here and dump it into our wastewater treatment plant. And in the recent months, they've ramped up the average daily gallons to right at 100,000 a day.
McShirley says that liquid eventually makes its way into Lake Cumberland, and he fears the health risk of forever chemicals. Somerset's mayor says this practice is not unique to this area.
Glasgow, Georgetown, Maysville, Owensboro, larger markets, Louisville, and nearby states, Knoxville, Nashville.
Keck says Somerset made $500,000 a year in allowing the leachate to be treated there. But after a contentious meeting Monday, the council voted unanimously to end the practice.
I always encourage citizens to show up, share their heart, but the way in which it was done was a little disappointing, but they made their voices heard. The council responded accordingly, and so we're going to have to make some changes.
The standing room only, there were probably 100 people, more or less. Everybody that was there, other than city employees, were against leachate.
Shirley says some of the U.S. government have not responded to their concerns, but believes the EPA will eventually issue new mandates against leachate. He says the substance is similar to what recently led to lawsuits at Camp Lejeune. Keck says that's a terrible comparison.
They dumped leachate there for years. Anybody that lived there that was diagnosed with certain cancers or other illnesses has a claim, and you only had to live there 30 days.
That's insanity, and again, fear-mongering. I don't know who you interviewed, but there's no real comparison. This is the EPA and the State Division of Waters mandated way to treat it.
Keck says problems with treating leachate need to be directed at the state, not at them. In Pulaski County, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Somerset received leachate from several landfills in the area. Partners for Rural Impact Appalachia staff hosted an event at Kane Kitchen in Letcher County yesterday. PRI staff say they were recently awarded 2 major grants for Letcher County Public Schools and Jenkins Independent. Associate VP of Partners for Rural Impact, Eamon Couch, says their goal for the event was to bring community leaders together to help them utilize the funding to its maximum potential.
It's been really fun to hear them talk and dream and imagine and think about what's possible 10 years down the road because these grants, 50 new jobs to Letcher County, which is amazing, resources, manpower, focus, attention. It's going to get some national attention.
Couch says the 2 new grants will provide the county $45 million during the next 5 years. A Central Kentucky woman is helping a man from a third world country move to the Bluegrass and become a doctor, and she's raising money and selling art to get him there. Patience Fort met the man who goes by Johnson on a medical mission trip to his country. She says while there, Johnson took care of her and his community. It's something she won't forget. Now she wants to help him get into UK and eventually medical school.
I feel like it's a calling. I feel like God has given me, and He has led us through this whole process to where we are today, and just interested in seeing how it's going to all play out.
Patience Fort has set up a GoFundMe to bring Johnson to the University of Kentucky to become a doctor. The University of Kentucky College of Medicine has a reason to celebrate. It is preparing to send a record number of graduates into the workforce. The College of Medicine's leaders say 190 medical students are set to graduate. They say the graduating class will help to alleviate a long-standing shortage of physicians here in the Commonwealth. Those students are located across the University of Kentucky system. Those locations include Lexington, Moorhead, Bowling Green, and Northern Kentucky. The graduation date for the UK College of Medicine is set for May 13th. New research says strep throat cases have reached their highest point in 6 years. The sharp increase comes as the federal COVID-19 health emergency nears its end. Jeremy Toms talked with a Lexington physician about the trends.
As with other infections, strep throat cases dropped off during the COVID pandemic. But this report reveals that strep hit a level this February that was 30% higher than its pre-pandemic peak in 2017. Dr. Fox says it's not surprising to see it has come back.
During the pandemic, we masked, we washed our hands, we paid attention to social distancing, we didn't get in big gatherings. That's gone away now. So strep, when it starts, people aren't paying as much attention, so they can infect other people.
The sharpest rise in cases has been seen among children ages 4 to 13, but all age groups have seen an increase. A similar resurgence of RSV and flu cases occurred this past fall, and Dr. Fox says that could be leaving people open to other infections down the line, like strep.
The flu and strep are they're not related. They're two different organisms. But if you have the flu, you can have more secretions, you can have weakened immune systems, so it makes you more vulnerable to catching a strep infection.
That was Jeremy Toms reporting strep throat is very treatable with antibiotics, but if it's left untreated, it can spark more serious issues like rheumatic fever, kidney disease, and more. Dr. Fox says it's important to take steps quickly with this infection. Judy's Place for Kids in Pikeville is just one of numerous child advocacy centers across the Commonwealth who help children who have been abused. Those with Judy's Place say as many schools dismiss for summer break, fewer cases of child abuse will be reported. So it's up to the community members to step up and report abuse if they see or have suspicions that it is happening.
If you make a referral, you may be saving a child's life, and I have seen that happen where a referral from somebody who just happened to see the child in the store or at a restaurant, and there were high concerns of the way a child was being treated. And literally that referral, later they realized that referral probably saved that child's life.
Those with Judy's Place say although it can be difficult to make that call to report child abuse, you are legally obligated to report abuse if you have seen it or if you have reasonable suspicion abuse is taking place. We have more information of the signs of abuse on our website at WYMT.com.
.609 here on this Wednesday morning, middle of the week, middle of the road forecast. A little cool out there this morning, but not as cold as it has been. Let's take a look up on top of Whitesburg Pine Mountain. A little bit of light traffic up there as daylight starting to break there. 42. Down that way this morning, we're also seeing 41 just up the road in Pikeville, Prestonsburg, and Logan. 44 the Worms Pond. In Jackson, 42 over in Monticello, and everybody else is in the 30s except for actually Wise. It didn't catch Wise there in the middle of all those cold spots there at 43. Clintwood is the coldest at 31, followed by Grundy at 32 and Manchester at 33. Heading up to 70 this afternoon. Going to be a beautiful day out there with a mix of clouds and sunshine. Enjoy it. Some stray rain chances return tonight and spotty rain chances tomorrow. Olivia?
Thank you, Brandon. And thanks for joining Mountain News this morning. And more news is on the way. Coming up, the Taliban takes responsibility for the death of the leader behind the bombing at an Afghanistan airport that killed 13 U.S. service members along with many civilians. Stay with us.